Hey, me, Kelly Carroll. Good morning, sunshine.
Morning, sunshine.
Good morning, sunshine.
Good morning, sunshines. Daily dose of perspective.
Good morning, sweet baby sunshines. Good morning, sunshines. Let's get started.
Good morning, sunshines. I know it's been a hot minute. 'Tis the holiday season. It's been crazy, you guys. But I miss you all. And I wanted to connect today and just talk about the upcoming year. And I don't know, like, first of all, as you jump on, say good morning, sunshine, hashtag GMS, share with me something that you're grateful for. Maybe it is for your new journal that you got, your new calendar. Maybe you got one of those huge calendars where you like know everything that's happening for the year, or maybe it's for hot water. Mine might be for hot water today. So what are you grateful for? And then I'm curious, I want to talk about goals versus one word versus New Year's resolutions versus doing anything at all. And go ahead and share where you stand, wherever you're watching and listening from. Of course, I don't have this on so where I can see your comments. My bad. There we go. And just what you currently do. And then I want to talk to you. I'd love to just share with you guys a couple things, some resources, and a very quick process. So we're really just going to take 15 minutes here and do some evaluation of where you're at to decide, do you want to set some New Year's resolutions? Do you want to create some new goals? And would a one word benefit you even more? Good morning, Eric. How are you? And as we look at this, I know, first off, like, I know some people that are like, I don't do resolutions. Like, why do that? It's just like a certain time of the year, which is totally fine. I get that, right? Like, everybody has different preferences, but in my mind, the more that we are encouraged to sit back and reflect upon what's going on in our lives, really evaluate, where we're at in different aspects, and then proactively and intentionally make some adjustments, which will bring more positivity in our world. I say, why not? Like, why not? Because it's the first of the year. Make some different evaluations and just recognitions and possible adjustments to your world. Why not do it on your birthday? Why not do it on the first of the month, every single month? Some of the most successful people that I know, or that I've even like read about, right? They evaluate morning and evening where they're at, and every evening they reflect upon their day and what they would do differently. So if you want to use New Year's as a kickstart to doing that, again, I would say, why not? Right? So let's look at, I would love to look at with you, first of all, how this process starts, and then a couple different options that you have moving into the new year, your birthday, the new month, the day, whatever it is, whenever you decide that you want to evaluate your world. And that's exactly where it starts. Is I would encourage everybody to at least take some time to evaluate your current life and what you love and what you don't love. Even if you don't want to set any goals, even if you don't want to set any intentions, like, just take some time, allow yourself the space, because a lot of times we fill our minds with so much noise, whether that's technology, social media, people in our world, just like making up shit to do. We fill ourselves with, like, our space with so much noise that we don't take the time to really just reflect on what's going on in your life. How happy, how joyful are you really in this moment in the different areas of your lives? And after you do that, it can help us push us into the next direction of, where do we go with this? Do we is there a one word fill? Is there setting goals, resolutions sort of fill? So I'd encourage you that you can save this to rewatch later, or maybe just take some notes, or if you're driving, whatever, go back and you can come back later to this, take some mental notes. But to number one, we're going to do what I call as an inventory. We've done an inventory a lot. If you've been watching for the last 8 years, we take inventory in a lot of different videos. And what I mean by that is, basically, it's like you're in your stock room of life, of yourself, right? And you go to the shelves and you're like, okay, what do I have? What do I like? What do I not like? We're taking inventory of our actual personal experience here on earth. And there's some different categories. There's a lot of different categories you could break this down to. You might know right away where you want to take inventory, but I'm going to give you a couple different places to encourage you to examine your life. And as you look at that, there's different ways that you could judge it. Okay. So if you want to just be like straightforward, you can do a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Like, we'll start with health. Okay. Health, you take a look, you're like, what, health, thumbs up. That's what I'm going to give you, Cal. Or health, thumbs down. That might be an area that I want to take a look at. Now, if you're a little bit more into the process, let's give us more than just a 2 gauge, which is a yes or no. Maybe you want to give it a 5 gauge, where like 5 is your health is as good as they can get, and 0 is you're like, ooh, it's not good, and you give yourself a range in between there. Or maybe you want to do 10, whatever makes you feel comfortable taking a look at that area. You could also it's kind of like the thumbs up, thumbs down, just be like a star if it makes you a happy face, if it makes you happy, and a sad face if it doesn't make you feel good when I say the word. Okay. So that could just be like your initial feeling. So first one, spoiler, is health, your personal physical being. And the reason why I start with this one is because the number one New Year's resolution still to this day is to lose weight, right? How are you doing with your health? Just take inventory. I'm not doing anything else with that. That's just all. Just what do you think? 1 to 10, up and down, smiley face, sad face. The next area is your mindset. And in your mindset, I want you to consider this your entire being. Some people are like, mindset, what does that even mean? Like, no, I don't do personal development. I don't care. I like to read smutty novels and I'm good with that. Cool. That's not what I'm talking about. In mindset, it might be benefited by joining book club or reading certain books. But what I'm talking about when I say mindset is, what is your personal state of being throughout a normal day? And if you can stick with me here, like vibrationally, are you operating at a high vibration? Do you feel consistent feelings? And I know we all go through ups and downs, and there's a lot of things, and there's that life happens, right? But like on a regular basis, would you consider yourself in a consistent space of joy, happiness, calm, patience, peace, love, light? Those are going to be your like higher vibrational feelings, right? Or do you feel anxious, worried, sad, depressed, scared, fearful, judgment, like you're judging others, you're like, I don't like anger, of course, but like more like resentment, resentful, jealousy. All of those are going to be your very low vibrational feelings. And that's what I mean when I say mindset. It's really about your being. How do you feel like you are in your being on a regular basis? And in the last couple of years, I know I've gone through a lot of different ways of being. When you're in survival mode, it's a different thing. So acknowledging that you have different chapters where you're like, well, yeah, but usually I'm like this. Where are you right now? Where is your life at right now? Okay. So that's the second one. The third one, relationships. So just taking a look at your relationships, and in relationships, I would start with, well, it depends on where you're at in your world, right? There's basically your partner relationship, and then your friendships, and then there's family, right? So that's kind of like the different relationships that I would look at. And you might be like, okay, so my partner relationship, that's good. I got my smiley face. But when I look over at my friendships, that doesn't make my being feel like it's being presented with the highest being that it could be. Maybe my friendships are an area that it's like I get a 5 out of 10. Now I have them, but they don't make me feel as good as I want to feel. Same thing with your like partner. It's not just about, do you have the person, but how does that relationship feel in your world? Is it bringing you joy, or is it bringing you pain, or is it bringing you worry? And we're not doing anything about it right now. Remember, we're just addressing and taking inventory on where your world is currently. And I know this is hard for a lot of people. Whenever I do these types of videos, they do not get as many watches or engagements, because a lot of people don't want to take the time to look in the mirror at their life because they're scared of what they might see. But here's the deal, you guys. I'm not saying you have to work on any of those things, but acknowledging, hey, I could use a little work on my, like right now, my servitude and my contribution is where I could use some work. I've been in this great state of being and presence and joy, and really just like recovery from what we've gone through. And that's wonderful. That's wonderful that I had that timescape. But now I see that it's time for me to step into my next area. So when you acknowledge it, it can support you in moving through life, maybe a little bit differently. I'm not saying change everything, but maybe just making a few different choices that are supportive to you. Okay. So we've got your health, we've got your mindset or your being, your relationships, partner, friendships, family. Number 4, we're going to look at your career. And career, what I like to say is more so your doing, right? Your mindset was your being, your career is your doing. And it doesn't have to mean, some people Like, what is your career? What do you wake up and do every day? And do you love that? Your career could be motherhood. It could be taking care of the kids. It could be building a new business. It could be your actual 9 to 5, if you have one of those. And when you look at your doing, what you do throughout the day, how is that making you be? How is that making you feel? Is it putting you into a consistent space of joy? Or right now, are you like, you know what? I'm going to give myself a 7 out of 10 for my career. It's not making me super happy, but it is bringing in the money, which I need, which is that's great, right? You're looking at and just evaluating where it is to see if you want to make some adjustments. So career is number 4, which ties in sometimes to number 5, which is your finances. How do your finances make you feel right now? What being do you feel upon the state of your finances? And again, we're not doing anything about it. We're just addressing it, and be real with this. I know one thing, I think when I was like turning 40, I still hadn't found a financial advisor. I still hadn't gotten our will in order. I still hadn't have like, it was like the orders of our finances, just not like how much money are you making enough money to supply the lifestyle that you want, right? Are you moving forwards or backwards? But it was more about like the complete organization and peacefulness around finances for me. So it could be something like that too, because when I got my financial advisor and we documented and drew up our will and had all these different things done, I feel such more peace around the subject. I don't have my computer plugged in. That's not going to be good in about 2 seconds. Wait for me. Sudden realization, you guys. No big deal. No big deal. Bing. Okay. Number 6 is your social life. We're as humans, we are built to have community. We're built to have people around us. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the older we get, sometimes we put ourselves into this space of like, it's harder to make friends or make connections, especially because we know what we'll put up with and what we won't put up with. Like I have a lot of things in friendships and relationships that I'm not going to stand for. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to like ridicule or point or judge other people, but I'm not going to choose to put myself in a space around people who aren't, of a certain like positivity and outlook on life, just because it doesn't feel good. Right. So when you look at your social world, what are you feeling? I think a great example for this, I love that just recently occurred for my group is, I would be empty nesting right now if we didn't, whoops, a daisies, surprise, and not a whoops, like best surprise ever, have our now 5-year-old and 4-year-old. We would be empty nesting. So I had this beautiful, incredible group of these new friends who I just met at the end of my son's senior year, all of his friends' parents, really, where we decided to just intentionally create more community and have each other to move through life with. And I just had this realization the other day. I was talking to him and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about this, but you guys are all empty nesters, all of them. And well, not all of them, all but one, but like, so as empty nesters, this is so vital for you to be able to build a new social community moving into this next stage and next chapter of your life. Where's your social world right now? Okay. Again, just evaluating. We haven't taken the action. Final one is your spirituality. Your connection, your faith, your wholeness, whatever you want to call that. I know for me, the growth in my faith and spirituality, even though I've always had it over the last 3 years with Witten's diagnosis, has just been something beautiful. And that it looks differently to each person, right? It looks differently to me than it does to you. But where do you feel at? Where are you feeling when you think about your spirituality and your connectedness? Okay. So now that you have some areas, we're going to move into 2 other things and then we'll be done for today. Super quick, like I said. So looking at that, you take your list, right? And you really review, or maybe you don't even have to have a list. But when I said that, like the one thing that popped out to you was your mindset or your being or your relationship with your friends or your health. Like one thing like really popped out, or maybe across all of them, you felt a common theme. So moving into the new year, I enjoy doing 2 different things. One is the One Word. If you haven't read One Word by, holy crap, I'm just going to forget all of a sudden. Look up the book One Word. It's this tiny little red book. No, I don't remember. Anywho, It's super easy. It's super short. And it explains to you how instead of dividing up all of these different things into 25 different goals and feeling overwhelmed and anxious and worried about the possible failure upon your goals, and then you end up being like failing right away, or you just don't do anything because you feel stagnant in the process. What some people will do, and what I've done for 5 years now, is choose a theme that you want to run after. Maybe this next year. I always do this on my birthday instead of the new year. I know they're close to each other, but like for me, that's just like what makes sense to me. But it might change after 6 months. But right now, selecting a theme that you want to move into and reconnecting with that theme on a daily basis. So maybe throughout this whole thing, what you saw is that you're not really a person of action. It's like you have all these things that you've talked about doing or you'd like to do, or yeah, you'd like to improve your career, your health, your relationships, your finances, your social world, but like you're not great at taking action. And maybe what you choose as your theme, and a lot of times you look up the word and you look up some synonyms, but maybe you choose the word action as your one word. And then each day as you're moving through your daily life, when you're reviewing something that's going on in your world, you're like, am I taking action right now? Am I being a person of action? So that would be something that you continually revisit. Maybe it's responsibility. Maybe you realize, like, you took a look at this and you're like, you know what I tend to do is I tend to blame everything on everyone else. I call this the Eeyore syndrome, where you kind of walk around, oh yeah, my life is my life. This happened to me. This happened to me. And it's never you. It's always everything happening to you. Now, there are certain things in the world that I get are, we look at our uncontrollables, look at the things you can control and the things that you can't control. But there is a lot of things, of ways that we can take responsibility for what's going on, or take responsibility of our actions upon whatever's occurred. So maybe that's a word where you're like, responsibility. Like, I really want to walk through my life. Look at all the people that just dropped off. They're like, oh no, I don't want to hear about that. I want to take ownership of my life. And the thing about when you decide to become responsible and take ownership, then you get to take action and be a part of the change, right? I've had some different words over the last few years. One word, it was one year when I was first having my babies, after my big babies, I had the word flow, because I was really trying to figure out how to move through being a successful entrepreneur, but also being very focused and present with my babies at home and trying to see that flow. So as I would go through my day, I'm like, are you in flow right now? Are you allowing yourself to be here with them now, but be in work later, and not be thinking about work while you're here with them, or being with them while you're at work, and find this like even flow? That was very supportive to me. I've had just survival, right? Patience, trying to go through my son's his endeavors over the last year. I was just in survival mode. And then I just needed to focus on gratitude, consistent gratitude, thankfulness for everything and always. Maybe you're in a time of productivity. Like right now, my word this year is create. Like I said, shared before, I feel like one of the areas where I'm really lacking when I do my inventory is in my intentional servitude, financial success, and career, because I've kind of put all of those different things on the back burner in order to be caretaker, which is totally cool, different chapter. I'm not disregarding that stage of my life, but at this point, I feel like I'm in a space where I can start to really hone in and create, still in flow, right? Being able to be present with my kids. So looking at the general theme of your year, it could be love, it could be forgiveness, it could be health, it could be joy, it could be patience, it could be productivity, it could be like learning or becoming. Like, I want to really learn and educate myself this year. So that would be the one word process. And I think that is so valuable for not just the new year, but to have a focus that you're working towards always throughout your life. And if you hit a new chapter in February, you switch your new word, right? When you recognize that you're like, okay, this one has served me, I'm ready to do this, then you make an adjustment. Okay, so moving from that into the final piece, which would be your goals. Truthfully, you guys, you could look up a million different videos about setting goals. And I prefer goal over a New Year resolution, just because that's something tangible that you're working towards. My recommendation in looking at this list would be to see where you felt the most discomfort when we talked about it: career, health, relationships, like what made you up the most. And then think about it for a second and ask yourself, am I really willing to attack this one right now? And you might not be. It might be like, oh yeah, well, my finances are horrible, so I'm going to jump right into that. You might not be ready for that. You have to have a discussion with yourself. Am I ready to do what it takes to improve my finances? Am I willing to put my spending on hold? Am I willing to get the extra job? Am I willing to try some new things, to start a new business, to put myself out there, to take some new courses? Am I willing to do that right now? Yes or no? And then move through the different things where you have your sad faces or your thumbs downs, or maybe things are marked below a 5, and decide where you're willing to make some adjustments. Because if we try to change everything at once, most of us will not make a change. Baby steps, consistent small movements are going to be so much more supportive in the long run. Like, let's just take health, right? So you want to lose 30 pounds this year. And you're like, all right, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. I'm going to get a gym membership. I'm going to do these type of classes. I'm going to get a personal trainer. I'm going to eat 1,500 calories or less. Actually, I'm going to go raw foods. I'm going to do that for a while. I'm going to do a cleanse for this. Like, you're so overwhelmed by like day 3. At first, it's kind of exciting. By day 3, you're just like, oh my God, like, I never mind. I'm going to have some chocolate cake and sit on the couch and binge watch some shows. I'm over it. It can be too much. So when you decide where you want to work, and it might just be one area, that's perfect. You want to try to honor yourself with some small wins, because every time you have a small win, it's going to provide you with the support and the like personal confidence to move into another area. So once you have the small win of maybe it's, I'm going to walk 10 minutes every day. Cool. You do that for a month and you're like, I did that. I did that and I did awesome. Now I'm going to eat a protein-rich breakfast instead of a carb-rich breakfast every single day. And I'm going to do that for a month. And you're thinking like, well, Cal, that's going to take me a freaking year. It's not going to feel like it takes you a year when you're making small, comfortable or more comfortable changes instead of trying to rip off a Band-Aid. If you're a rip off the Band-Aid person and that works for you, awesome. There's not a lot of us out there that are good at that. Okay. But if you're slow and steady wins the race and you have these consistent small actions that you're taking, then you're going to see that it wasn't that difficult. And it doesn't matter that you took you a year because you enjoyed the process. You were able to make that process enjoyable. Maybe you want to work on relationships. And one of the things that you want to do is you want to show up as a better listener. So you're just like, you know what? Every single day, I'm going to just spend 5 minutes. I'm going to ask my spouse about their day and I'm going to let them talk for 5 minutes. That's the first place I'm going to start. And picking these little bite-sized goals to help you achieve your larger goal, your grander vision. And all the while, you guys, this is where I'd like to end here, is having a vision of what you want that to look like. If you're really willing to dive into tongue twister central today, into your personal growth and happiness and ultimate joy, what does that look like for you? What does the ultimate health look like for you? What do you want that to be like? What does the ultimate way of being and feeling and energy look like for you? What is the ultimate career and doing? What is the ultimate, relationship with your family and your spouse and your friends? What do your finances look at? At your ultimate level? What's your spirituality like? What does your social life look like? What is all of that vision? And when you can tie yourself into repeating that vision on a daily basis, even if you haven't set a single damn goal, even if you said, I'm not going to do anything that Callie said, but I am going to take 5 minutes to visualize my ultimate world every single day, that's going to move you forward over this next year. So I hope that this is supportive for you guys. I was doing this myself and I was like, you know what? We haven't visited it for a while, haven't gone live for a while. Let's chat with our friends. And I would be very curious if you guys do take this on, if you can comment here what your what area you want to work on, or what that brought up for you, or what your one word is. Because a lot of people find it just more supportive to start off with a one word, right? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Kelly Carroll. Oh, what's going on here? Let me just catch you up for a second. Moving into next year, we are going to be starting Mature-ish Mamas, the Life Unfiltered podcast. I am super excited to be co-hosting with someone. I love talking to you guys, but I do see the way of the podcast world. And there's just something about getting interaction between multiple people, which also is harder to do and organize. So we've been working on our equipment, our setup, all of our stuff, and we will be launching that hopefully soon in 2025. I don't know if it'll be January, but we're doing our best to get that out as soon as possible. And that's going to be conversations. Mature-ish Mamas is because we both have toddlers in our 40s. So we were geriatric moms, but it's not just about motherhood and raising toddlers in our 40s. It's about womanhood and life and marriage and just the comedic aspect that life offers, also delivering some positive perspective throughout it all. So a little bit more like comedic function than what you're used to with just me, and having that dynamic interaction is going to be really fun. I will be completing my first book this first quarter, so I'm excited to release that. And then for Good Morning Sunshine, I'm going to just have one release a week. So we'll go back to a consistent schedule. Watch for that. And I will get those live on Facebook, but Mature-ish Mamas is only going to be podcast form. So I'll make sure we share snippets so you guys can find that. You can already find it on Apple, Castbox, Spotify, Amazon Music, if you just look up Mature-ish Mamas. Okay? All right. I love you guys. Happy New Year's Eve. If you're watching on New Year's Eve, maybe you're not, but if you are, Happy New Year's Eve. We're about to do a New Year's countdown because we're old and we have small children. So everybody's coming over at 11 and we're going to count down the new year, and we're going to do the ball drop at 12, and bam, we don't have to stay up past 6 p.m. I know. Best. Okay, 8 p.m., you guys. I'm not that bad, but pretty bad. I love you guys so much, and I hope you have the best year coming up. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye, guys.
Thanks for joining, and don't forget to subscribe and, of course, share with your friends. Guys, that's how we impact more lives. All right, see you next time.